World War II is considered to be one of the darkest times in human history. An estimated 60 to 85 million people lost their lives. America served as one of the major powers, with over 16 million men and women serving in the American Armed Forces. Today we think as veterans of World War II, and those who helped out on the home front as old-timers and our great-grandparents. In reality, they were 18 years old. They were high schoolers, valedictorians, football players, and musicians, just like today, although they had the responsibility of ridding the world of evil. Over the course of the war, New Trier students and its various clubs organized several fundraisers to help out with the war effort. One of the most popular wartime activities for students on the home front was to have fundraisers to build school-sponsored B-17 bombers. New Trier even had one titled The Spirit of New Trier. The B-17 was a 4-engine bomber manned by a 10-man crew. Nicknamed the Flying Fortress, it was a standard long-range bomber for the American Army Air Corps. As well as the Flying Fortress, New Trier students also raised money to build a Crosshair fighter bomber. It was completed in 1944, as can be seen in that year's yearbook. The Crosshair was a naval-based aircraft that operated off of carriers. They would be piloted by Navy pilots or pilots from MAG, also known as the Marine Air Group. New Trier's fighter and many like it served in the Pacific Theater. New Trier clubs would also inspire students to partake in activities on the home front. To conserve and produce more food, a Food for Victory campaign was launched. Eating leftovers became patriotic duty, and civilians were urged to grow their own vegetables and fruits. Millions of victory gardens, planted and maintained by ordinary citizens, appeared in backyards, vacant lots, and public parks. They produced over 1 billion tons of food. New Trier students would spread the word on victory gardens, how to make the best of rationing, and organize salvage drives to give the war factories fuel. One of New Trier's biggest wartime changes was the kinetic wellness classes, or physical education back then. PE teachers did their best to convert the men's gym classes into a more military fashion. The purpose was to prepare students for the harsh physical conditions of basic training, and if the men was to become infantrymen, advanced infantry training. Obstacle courses were assembled and students competed against each other for the best times. In addition, there were activities that students would partake in to better learn teamwork and acquire leadership skills. Boxing and wrestling became very popular at the school. The idea was to teach students how to take it and to toughen them up. Students who wanted to spend more time in gym were even allowed to edit their academic schedules to allow more time for physical training. Only a week after Pearl Harbor were students learning how to hurdle 10-foot walls and building the skills necessary for being a soldier. Students were even learning how to do paratrooper roles, only necessary for the elite airborne divisions. New Trier showed its pride for its students and country in World War I. Throughout the course of the war, the New Trier News and Yearbook posted articles and pictures about the war. They included news from the front, how New Trier students were preparing for war, obituaries from KIA students, and even taunts to Adolf Hitler himself. One article in particular discussed the state of the French army and the country's extremely effective resistance in a September 1944 issue of the New Trier News. The article went on to say that Tri-Ship and Girls Club were collecting clothing donations for those liberated in. The article described how to package and deliver them. Propaganda was also present in the yearbooks. Tojo made an appearance in the 1944 yearbook in a section highlighting the good work of one of the PE teachers had done in preparing the boys of New Trier for the armed services. In my opinion, the most interesting part of the military-related items in the yearbooks and newspapers were the illustrations targeting the rights that we Americans had. They were directed at the oppressive governments that we were facing at the time and put an emphasis on how important those rights were to the students of New Trier. The most impressive contribution to the war effort that New Trier made was the amount of staff and students it served. Several hundred would serve in all. They ranged from the lowest private to high-ranking staff officers. Over 150 students made the ultimate sacrifice in the war, giving their lives so the world would live without tyranny or under the iron boot of Nazi Germany or the Imperial Empire of Japan. To memorialize the service of those who put their education on hold to go fight for their country and the world, a scrapbook was assembled in 1943 by a parent of one of the soldiers. Titled Barracks Breeze, the book contains pages after pages, correspondence from troops overseas, and information about their service, i.e., their rank, unit, and any medals awarded to them. Furthermore, the book served as a reference guide for students to help them understand the units and rank of the United States military. The book contains a chart of ranks from all the branches, as well as the insignia for the 91 Army divisions fielded and the 6th Marine Divisions. New Trier was just one of thousands of American schools that helped contribute to the war effort. It was average schools like this and their students that kept this great country afloat during the war. Their students provided the soldiers necessary for defeating our enemies, and those who stayed behind did their part on the home front. In all, they were just a range of Americans who were determined to do their part when their country, the world, and the forces of good called.